In this video, we are going to build a complete IPSec site-to-site VPN tunnel between Palo Alto firewall and the FortiGate firewall. This is a fully practical lab, no theory. I will start by configuring basic internet connectivity on both the firewalls, and then we will build the IPSec tunnel step by step. At the end, we will verify traffic passing between both sites. Even in case if you have not much knowledge about Palo Alto firewall or FortiGate firewall, you don't know like how to create security rules, from where to create NAT policy or NAT rule, right, in both the firewalls, no problem whatsoever, because I'm going to start from the scratch, right? So I will show you initial configuration, basic configuration. Once both firewalls are fully operational, there is proper internet connectivity, then on top of that we will build IPSec tunnel, right? So let's jump into the lab. Let's first understand the lab topology. So there are two different sites, site 1 and site 2. Site 1 has Palo Alto firewall and site 2 has FortiGate firewall. Both the firewalls are brand new firewalls, no configuration. Router is in the middle of communication stream. Router also doesn't have any configuration, right? And site 1 LAN site network address 10.1.1.0 and site 2 internal or private address space is 10.2.2.0/24. Okay. So what is game plan here? First, we are going to configure Cisco router, because as I said, router doesn't have any configuration, but as such, not like too much configuration required here. Just assigning IP to all the three interfaces, a default route pointing to edge router or ISP router, and also NAT configuration, right? NAT, or rather I would say like PAT, port address translation, or overloading in Cisco. So once router is configured, right, then next step would be configuring Palo Alto firewall. So as I said, like Palo Alto firewall has no configuration, so we will start from the scratch again, like configuring interfaces, creating security zones, route means routing, security policy, NAT policy. And once like Palo Alto firewall is fully configured, fully operational, internal host devices are successfully routing traffic to the internet through Palo Alto firewall, then we will jump to FortiGate firewall and we'll do exactly the same configuration on FortiGate firewall. So you are going to learn a lot. Why? Because you will understand how to configure Cisco router for internet connectivity, to provide internet connectivity rather, NAT configuration also, yes. Then you will learn how to configure Palo Alto firewall, how to configure FortiGate firewall. And once like complete topology is working, then we will go ahead and configure IPSec site-to-site VPN tunnel between both gateways, right? IPSec VPN tunnel between both gateways using internet as a transport, right? So you'll see like how to configure VPN on Palo Alto and how to configure VPN on FortiGate firewall, right? So in this single session, you are going to learn a lot, believe me, right? So hang in there. We are just going to start with Cisco router first. Router, you can see enable configuration mode, interface. So F0/0, IP address 12.0.0.2.255.255.255.0, no shutdown. Okay, and there is another interface F0/1, and console log messages are literally very annoying, so let me turn off no logging console. F0/1, another interface which connects to FortiGate Firewall 23002 and /24 no shutdown to bring up the interface, and there is the third interface F1/0 and IP address, any IP address from 192.168.1 range. And why? Because router here has IP assigned 192.168.1.1 line side IP, internal IP. External interface of course connects to ISP, public IP address dynamically provided, DHCP assigned, and we are not concerned with that IP. So in your case also, if you want to like replicate exactly the same lab topology for your lab practice, then and in your if home or broadband router IP is 192.168.1.1, so you can assign any available free IP address from the same range, right? 192.168.1. and then any IP address. In case if your broadband router IP is 192.168.0.1, then any IP address from the same subnet. You understand that, right? So in my case, router IP is, like the router that actually provides internet connectivity. IP is 192.168.1.1. So I'm going to assign IP address from the same range. And I know like 254 is the last IP and free available, no shutdown. So all three interfaces are configured. What next now? So default route. What is default route? IP route any network address 000, any subnet mask 000, next hop IP address 192.168.1.1, right? So can we do a quick verification? Show IP route. All good. This default route here, all three interfaces up 888. So this would be success, yes. But the problem here is if traffic originated from here that hits like Palo Alto Firewall will forward that traffic to the router in the middle, right? And if Palo Alto Firewall performs source net, means source IP address 10.1.1.101 is translated to this IP 12.0.0.1. That means when traffic hits router, then source IP address will be 12.0.0.1, right? Not original source 10.1.1.101 will be translated to firewall external interface IP address, because we will configure NAT here. Okay, because if you don't do that, if we do not configure NAT here, then what will happen? Traffic will hit to the router sourcing with the same IP, that is 10.1.1.101, and if router doesn't have route to the 10 network, then this will create problem for the return traffic, right? And also we are going to tell the router that perform source NAT only if source IP address is either from this range or this range, right? So what router will do, if source IP address is any IP address from 12 subnet or 23 subnet, then there will be source translation and IP will be translated to exit interface IP, means FA1/0. Let me show you the configuration, right? But in case if you do not want to configure NAT on FortiGate and Palo Alto, yes, that is also possible. We'll have to do a little more configuration. Routers would have then route back to 10 network, 10.1.1 network, 10.2.2 network, right? And also at the time of creating ACL for the NAT, you will have to include both networks, right? So that is a bit tedious and complex. So let's not get into that section. So straight away, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an access list one permit, and I'm going to permit 12 network and wildcard mask. I hope you understand. It's just inverse or reverse of your subnet mask. So and another statement here is 23. So both, right? and then next command is ipnat inside source access list number 1, right? So if source IP address is any IP address permitted in ACL number 1, means any IP from this subnet or this subnet, then do what? Nat list 1 and then interface f1/0 and overload, means PAT, port address translation, right? And after that enable NAT on all interfaces, f0/0 ipnat inside, f1/0 ipnat outside, right? And then we can do verification from router itself using source IP 12.0.0.2 and also 23.0.0.2, right? So enabled f0/1 ipnat inside and f1/0 ipnat outside. Okay, and now let's ping 888, but this time I'm using source 12.0.0.2 and also 23.0.0.2. Okay, save the configuration. So we are done with this router configuration. You don't have to configure this router in future, because that's all. Now next, Palo Alto firewall. Double click Palo Alto firewall. So by default Palo Alto management interface, Palo Alto firewall management interface is configured to obtain IP address automatically from the DHCP server. So if you look at the topology, then management interface is connected to the management network, means management interface is connected to the physical network. Physical network means if there is a router, Wi-Fi router, right? And here is my laptop. So my laptop is connected to the Wi-Fi router, right, to provide internet. And Wi-Fi router internal IP is 1.1, and also Wi-Fi router acts as a DHCP server. So a pool is configured here, 1.2 to 192.168.1.254 gateway DNS and all that. So if Palo Alto firewall is connected to the cloud, means Palo Alto firewall is bridged or connected to the same physical network, right? So through this cloud, Palo Alto firewall is also connected to the Wi-Fi router. And since management interface is already configured to obtain IP from the DHCP, so if there is any DHCP server, so IP will be assigned automatically, right? But in case if you want to assign a static IP address to the management interface of Palo Alto firewall, you can do that. And if you look at here, you see here, it's a brand new firewall. The very first time I have opened CLI, and you can see here DHCP, IP and mask, right? So straight away you can access GUI page of Palo Alto firewall. But in case if you want to get into CLI mode, so username is admin, password is admin, right? And now old password, I am asked to enter the new password. So enter new password, right? So password is change. And in Palo Alto firewall, changes are not reflected till the time we commit, right? Commit means like changes are reflected, saved, right? So in Palo Alto firewall, whenever you are doing any configuration, either from CLI or from graphical user interface mode, don't forget to commit, right? In FortiGate firewall, in CLI mode, you don't have to type any command in FortiGate firewall, right? FortiGate firewall means by default configured, means auto save configuration is auto saved, automatically reflected. So in CLI, the only command that we type is end. So once we type end, means immediately configuration is saved, auto save, reflected. And in graphical user interface mode, whenever we hit apply in FortiGate, then configuration is immediately reflected, applied. But same is not true in Palo Alto firewall. In Palo Alto firewall, commit either from CLI or from graphical user interface mode. I'll show you how you can do. So here, like if you want to get into configuration mode, so you go there, you can run the command set device config system, and then anytime you can put a question mark. If you want to see like all the command option available, then you can use question mark as you do in Cisco appliances, same exactly. So set device config system type. If you want to assign static IP, then the command is here, system type static. Okay, and then next command would be system device config system IP, and whatever IP you want to assign, let's say 192.168.1.2 and net mask 255.255.255.0, right? So first command, like just telling that IP will be assigned statically, no like more DHCP assigned IP, and then assigning IP address commit to reflect the changes. So once like commit is successful, then we can access Palo Alto firewall with the IP that we have assigned to the management interface 1.2. And in Palo Alto firewall, there is complete separation between control and management plane and the data plane. Means control and management plane is completely separated from the data plane. So in Palo Alto firewall, even if you want to assign IP address from the same subnet, from the same network, from the same pool to another interface of Palo Alto firewall, right? So 192.168.1.2, and let's say I want to assign 192.168.1.3, no problem whatsoever. You can do that. You can assign. Why? Because management and control plane is completely isolated. There is a separation between a data plane and control plus management plane, right? So they both do not share same routing table. That's the reason. So you can do that. Okay, so let's see. Commit is done. So close this window. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to open Palo Alto Firewall GUI page with its management interface IP. 2. Certificate warning message. Just because of the reason, certificate is self-signed certificate. So because of that reason, so safely you can ignore that. So UI page is loading up, and this may take a while, so let's not waste the time. So I'm back to FortiGate firewall, right? FortiGate firewall is also not configured. So username is admin, there is no password. Hit down enter. Now change the password. So new password. Okay, so what we want to do here, we want to assign IP address to port 3, management port. Basically port 3 is like management port here. So any IP address from the same range 192.168.1, right? And once IP is assigned, then we can side by side we can open GUI page of FortiGate firewall also. So how to do that? So run the command config system interface, and interface is port 3. First command set mode static, means we want to assign static IP, and IP address 192.168.1. Whatever IP you want to assign, let's say 3/24, and then set allow access ping HTTP and end no commit reflected. That's it. Now side by side we sidewise we can open GUI page of FortiGate also. And the bus status almost is ready. Do not show again. Okay, remind me. So Palo Alto firewall GUI page, you can see here. FortiGate also we can access GUI page, but let's finish Palo Alto configuration. So from where we are going to start with, we are going to configure Ethernet 1/1 and Ethernet 1/2, both interfaces. In Palo Alto firewall, interfaces need to be in a security zone because it's a zone-based firewall. So like even in case if security zones are not created upfront, so at the time of configuring interfaces, we can create security zone, we can put interface in security zone, no problem whatsoever. So network tab and then interfaces, Ethernet 1/1, double click, interface type is a layer 3, comment is my LAN interface or LAN port, not mandatory though. Virtual router, in which routing table Ethernet 1/1 will be resting in, IPv4 address, what IP we want to assign, 10.1.1/24. Rest of the configuration are optional. Alright, then Ethernet 1/2. Again, layer 3 interface, layer 3 you understand, like routing mode. So for VPN tunnel termination, interface type must be layer 3. Because we want to terminate VPN tunnel. And this is my WAN interface, virtual router. There is one virtual router already created, security zone not created, and even we missed, I think, that configuration, no problem. Outside, so IP, we'll check that, 12.0.0.1/24. So good so far. And let me check this because we forgot to put the interface in a security zone, right? So this is mandatory configuration. Zone is not created, so no problem. Create a zone, and zone type by default selected layer 3. All good. So both interfaces are configured, and I want to drag security zone here so that I can properly see, and also IP address. Next step is creating a default route for internet. So go to virtual router, default static route, add this is internet route. You can give any name. Internet means like default route, any network address, any subnet mask. Exit interface, WAN port, next hop IP, router IP. Router IP is 12.0.0.2. Okay, hit down OK. Okay, so both interfaces are configured. Route. Next step, creating policy. In Palo Alto firewall, there are two implicit security rules or security policy. One is intra-zone default, which permits intra-zone traffic. Inter-zone default is another security policy by default created, which denies all inter-zone traffic, mean traffic between two different security zones, right? So we are going to create a new security policy, add, and I will name it from LAN to internet. Okay, source zone, inside. So from inside, so this Ethernet 1/1 is in inside, Ethernet 1/2 outside security zone. So from inside to outside. I hope you understand, right? Inside to outside, makes sense. Source address, create object. This is LAN1. You can give any meaningful name here, descriptive name. Mine is like LAN1 10.1.1.1.0. Slash is not allowed here, so if you want, then you can put another hyphen. Okay, so source zone, source address. What about destination zone? Outside, destination address any in case of internet. What all application or services you want to allow? So let's quickly allow HTTP, HTTPS and DNS, right? Or better, like, let me go back to this application section, and we want to allow first like DNS, because like Palo Alto or Checkpoint, FortiGate, they all are next generation firewalls, so they perform deep packet inspection to identify applications, so we can control applications also. And better like to permit or deny applications rather than like permitting or denying services, because services means like port numbers, right? No deep packet inspection. So DNS is allowed here. Also for testing purpose, I want ping to be allowed, maybe trace route, trace route is allowed. What else? Facebook, okay, and maybe Google as well. Only these two applications, right? Facebook, Google, DNS, ping, and traceroute. Service is application default, action allowed. So security rule is created. LAN to internet, right? So what we have finished so far, both interfaces are configured, static route is created, security policy is created. Last configuration, NAT configuration. So in Palo Alto Firewall, NAT is a separate policy. So click here, NAT policy, create source NAT. You can name it source NAT policy or whatever you like. Original packet section, original packet, source zone inside, destination zone obviously outside, source address, any IP from 10.1.1.10, destination any, translated packet, dynamic IP and port is like your overloading source NAT, translated address with interface, outside interface, interface IP. Okay. So now Palo Alto Firewall is configured from our side. Once like commit is successful, then we'll go to one of the host machine, right? Maybe 10.1.1.101 and we'll initiate traffic to internet from here. If everything is good, then there will be success, right? And done, then we will go to FortiGate Firewall. Configuring FortiGate Firewall is comparatively simple, easy as compared to Palo Alto Firewall. Okay, so almost 98%. So let me open 10.1.1.101. Here is the 10.1.1.101 IP already assigned. So let me run the command ipconfig just to show you. Yes, 10.1.1.101, and from here I'm going to ping any internet based destination like 888. So if commit is successful, then definitely there should be proper response here. If not, then we'll go ahead and do the troubleshooting. And yes, so now commit is 100% and I can see 888 is reachable. And applications that we allowed like Google and also Facebook. Only these two applications plus DNS plus trace route. You can also verify with tracert command, tracert -d and then any IP address. And you can see here Facebook, yes, loaded up. And tracert expected result 10.1.1.1 is your FortiGate Firewall IP gateway, and then 12.0.0.2 Cisco router, and then Wi-Fi router, and finally public IPs then after. So as expected, everything is up to the mark, right? So if the very first time, if you have seen like Palo Alto Firewall configuration, right, then now you understand, not very difficult, very easy. You'll have to go step by step, like just first configure interfaces, then static route, NAT policy, security policy. In any order, of course, either first NAT and then security or NAT, right? So only these four configuration. That's it. Very simple. Okay. And those like already working on FortiGate or Palo Alto, I'm sure like they will be waiting for IPSec configuration. So just once like we have finished FortiGate Firewall configuration, then we'll jump to IPSec site-to-site VPN configuration. So FortiGate Firewall IP already assigned. Let me quickly open GUI page of FortiGate Firewall. And why I'm using HTTP, not HTTPS, because if FortiGate Firewall has demo license, trial license, then HTTPS or strong encryption not allowed, in fact. That is why. So hit down OK, OK, not interested. And if you want to change the system time, idle timeout, then just go to system settings, and here you will find 5:30. Here we have, and so let me change. Okay, changes saved, and then network configuration. Port 1 is the LAN interface. So LAN interface, role, LAN, manual IP, what IP we want to assign, 2.2.1/24. Okay, so interface is configured. Port 2 is the WAN interface, WAN port. Alright, and WAN port means 23001. WAN IP 23001/24. If you want, then you can enable ping. Both interfaces are configured now, and port 3 is already management interface. So if you want to give this interface a name, then you can do that. Next step, creating route, default route, and the next hop will be 23002. Create new, any network address, subnet mask, gateway address, 23002, tab key. You don't have to select interface. Interface is automatically determined on the basis of gateway address. As I said before, FortiGate firewall configuration is very simple. So static route is created. What next now? Policy, creating a policy. Okay, so implicit, there is one rule by default created, implicit deny. Logging is not enabled. If you want, then you can enable logging, create a new rule, and from LAN to internet. Incoming interface, LAN port, outgoing interface, WAN port, source, anyone from the LAN side. So for that, you'll have to create network address object, LAN 2 10.2.2.0/24. Slash is allowed here, so you can use slash. In Palo Alto firewall, no, you cannot. Okay, so source and destination. In case of internet, all service, let me select all, but you understand, like you can restrict services. And see here, NAT option is by default enabled. So in FortiGate firewall, if you are not using central SNAT option, there is one option, central SNAT, then NAT is enabled per security policy basis. And it's very simple. NAT is by default enabled. Use outgoing interface. You don't have to do anything here. Hit down OK. That's it. And there is no commit, right? And see here, flicking screen is like blinking, I mean, stopped, committed, automatically done, right? Now, how to do verification? So I'm going to access another machine, 10.2.2.201. right? And I'm going to verify whether there is proper internet reachability through FortiGate firewall or not. And then we'll go ahead and set up IPSec VPN tunnel between both the firewalls, right? So LAN 2 PC, and from here again I'm going to ping 888, expecting success here. If not, then we'll do troubleshooting. Yes. So I hope you understand, like configuring FortiGate and Palo Alto firewall for internet reachability is not very complex, very straightforward. Configure interfaces, routing, security policy, NAT policy. In FortiGate firewall, NAT policy is enabled inside security policy itself. You don't have to create separate NAT policy in FortiGate firewall, right? In Palo Alto firewall, both policies are created separately, NAT and security policy. So only these 4 configuration. Once you have done, your firewall is like live now. Okay, so now we have successfully verified. Now it's time to do VPN configuration, IPSec site-to-site VPN configuration on both the firewalls. So what all configuration we will have to do? So on Palo Alto firewall, if let me Palo Alto firewall, first like create tunnel interface and put it in a separate zone, security zone. Best practice, create static route, is route based VPN, then create and configure iCrypto, your phase 1 crypto profile, create and configure IPSec crypto. Before that, iGateway, wherein like we define local IP, remote IP and pre-shared key. And iCrypto profile is also linked to the iGateway. And then next step will be create and configure phase 2, that is IPSec crypto, and attach or link IPSec crypto plus iGateway where to IPSec tunnel. And since we are setting up IPSec tunnel on Palo Alto firewall or FortiGate firewall, then yes, security policy would also be required. Create security policy and two security policy: inbound for incoming traffic plus outbound plus outgoing traffic. Inbound and outbound both. Okay. And finally commit. That's it. So Palo Alto firewall side, like creating tunnel interface, static route, phase 1 iGateway, wherein we define local and remote IP, pre-shared key, crypto profile is also attached to iGateway. Then IPSec crypto, that is phase 2 parameters, both are then finally linked to IPSec tunnel. And in order to permit data plane traffic, there has to be security policy. So one for outbound and one for inbound, right, on Palo Alto firewall side. FortiGate firewall side, basically if we are using custom configuration, because in FortiGate there is another option, template based, but if we are doing so in FortiGate, if we are doing custom configuration, then yes, like first creating tunnel, still not much configuration, routing, yes, would be required, and policy. And if like we are not doing custom, like setting up IPSec tunnel between two FortiGate firewall, really very simple, all done automatically. I'm going to show you, just hang in there. So I'm going to start with Palo Alto firewall, and you understand the objective, the agenda. What is agenda? Agenda or objective is what? To ensure like secure connectivity between both sides, site 1 and site 2. Means both end host devices should securely communicate using their private IPs without NAT, right? Even using internet as the transport. Because when we set up IPSec tunnel, then what happens? Original packet is encapsulated further, right? Extra headers are added, packets are encapsulated, ESP header added, new IP header added, and here ESP trailer and auth, and this is your original packet. So router in the middle, like ISP router, would never come to know the original source and destination IP address, because original packet is encapsulated, encrypted, ciphertext, not plain text. So router in the middle will be able to look at the outermost IP header, and outermost IP header means source IP 12.0.0.1 and destination IP address 23.0.0.1. And router already knows like both the networks, both are directly connected networks. So once packet reaches to the termination point where VPN tunnel is terminated, that is FortiGate firewall, so extra headers are removed and the ciphertext is converted back to the plain text. Original packet is extracted, and inside the original packet there will be original source IP address, that is 10.1.1.101, original destination IP address 2.2.1.1, right? I'm sorry, here source is 10.1.1.101 and destination is 10.2.2.101, right? So now FortiGate firewall knows like 10 network is a LAN network, then packet is forwarded to the clients. So our objective is just to set up the IPSec tunnel between both appliances. So I'm back to FortiGate firewall. Let's not waste the time. And I'm back to the network tab, and we do like network related configuration from network tab, be that your IPSec site to site VPN, global protect, which is remote access VPN, routing, virtual router, all the configuration related to network section is done from network tab. So I'm back to the network tab, and the very first configuration I'm going to do is creating iCrypto, which is your phase 1. So you can name it iCrypto, right? Or any name, whatever you like. And Diffie-Hellman group, so I'm okay with group 2, at least one entry, and you can take multiple, no problem whatsoever, right? But at least one. And authentication. So why I'm going to use MD5 or SHA-1, let me explain that, because both are not recommended though, very weak. Even encryption method also I'm going to use DES, very weak encryption method. But in production network, you should never do that, right? You should never use DES or MD5 or SHA-1, no. At least AES 256, here SHA-256. Never like using MD5 or SHA-1. But why I'm using? Because on the other side, there is a FortiGate firewall with a trial license, with the demo license. And in demo or trial license, FortiGate firewall doesn't allow us to use a strong encryption method, hashing method, HTTPS. No, they are not allowed, restricted. So in case if I select here triple DES or maybe AES, so on the FortiGate firewall side, no, not supported. So we won't be able to set up IPSec tunnel. That is why just I want to match parameters, phase 1 parameters, phase 2 parameters, and you understand that. As I said in the beginning, like we are not going to discuss theory part of VPN, right? So I assume like you understand the phase 1, phase 2 negotiation, phase 1 tunnel, phase 2 tunnel, unidirectional tunnel, bidirectional tunnel, policy based VPN, route based VPN, however we are configuring route based VPN, right? So we'll bring here routing also. It's not a policy based VPN. So I assume like you understand all that, and already I have covered multiple times like policy, domain, phase 1, phase 2, about certificate. So multiple times. So let's not waste the time. Done. And then next step is creating iGateway. iGateway, you can give any name. So mine would be iGateway. Version 1, I'm okay with that. Address type, interface, WAN interface, okay. Local IP, okay. Peer IP address 23002. So 23002, not 2, 1, 23001, okay. So preset key, other configuration optional, but don't forget to associate or attach your crypto profile, right? We have just created. Select that crypto profile, iCrypto. If you want to enable NAT, you can enable what is NAT traversal or NAT T. So if your firewall is behind a NAT device, so device in the middle is doing NAT, then definitely you should enable this, because then packet is further encapsulated inside UDP port number 4500. So fragmentation, if you want, then you can enable. If packet size exceeds M2, then packet is chopped off into small fragments. So that's what fragmentation is. DPD is peer detection, interval, retry time. If you select passive mode, then your Palo Alto firewall would always be accepting proposal messages, will never initiate proposal message, will never send proposal message, right? So this might be required in case if your Palo Alto firewall doesn't know like IP address of the remote gateway. I mean like remote gateway has DHCP assigned IP address, right? Okay, iGateway done, IPSec crypto. Now I will name it IPSec crypto. IPSec protocol is ESP. Yes, we are not going to use AH. Encryption method, again very weak encryption, DS, we are helpless, MD5, and also let me take SHA-1. DH group 2 means PFS is enabled, and that's fine, because on FortiGate also by default PFS is enabled. So we are okay with that. And then finally linking like both gateway and IPSec crypto to IPSec tunnel. So last piece of configuration, tunnel interface already we have created. We have not assigned any IP. We have not created tunnel interface yet. Okay, so we can use the default one, like default tunnel interface, or better like if we create a tunnel interface, because creating and putting in a separate zone is something really very important. So let me cancel this. So we forget to create a tunnel interface, right? So go to tunnel, add any number and virtual router, security zone. So create a new zone. I will name it VPN zone. VPN zone. Okay. So IP address required? Not exactly. If you have planned to configure like routing protocol, I mean OSPF, BGP, then yes, tunnel interface should have proper IP address. But in case of static routing, tunnel interface IP is optional, right? No need to assign IP. That's it. Now I'm back to IPsec tunnel, add, and then here I will name it IPsec tunnel. Tunnel interface I've just created, iGateway and IPsec crypto. Simple. Do we have to take care of proxy IDs? Not exactly, because it's route based VPN. Already we are going to do that in routing. Routing is also still not configured yet. VPN routing, I mean. Okay, so still there are two more configuration. So first we forget to create tunnel. Now tunnel interface is created. iCrypto, iGateway, IPsec crypto attach. So there are two more steps: creating security policy and creating static route. So we are going to complete these two steps also, and then configuring FortiGate firewall. Okay, so I'm back here, and yes, it is showing red color. We completely understand like why red color, because other side is not configured yet. Even there is no routing, there is no policy. Okay, so create route and VPN route. Remote site is 10.2.2.0/24. Interface, tunnel interface. Next hop IP? No, none. So you understand that in order to reach 10.2.2, use tunnel interface, right? And really this is something mandatory, because if you have missed that, you have forgotten to create a route. So what will happen? Palo Alto firewall does have a default route, any network, any subnet mask, and next hop 12.0.0.2. So even in case if host 1 initiate traffic for host 2, so sourcing 10.1.1.101 and destination address 10.2.2.101. So what will happen from routing perspective, routing point of view? Palo Alto firewall will look at the routing table. Do I have route for this destination? Right? 10.2.2. Yes, there is a default route. Default means any network, any subnet mask next of this. So instead of routing packet via tunnel interface, packet will be routed to router. Means no encryption, no tunneling, nothing. And you understand then what would happen? Packet would get lost somewhere, right? Because destination IP is what is still private IP address, non-routable over the internet. So that is why creating route is mandatory, must. So in case if Palo Alto firewall has a route that 10.2.2.0/0/24 is reachable via tunnel interface. So now like in fact tunnel is splitted now, split tunneling I mean. For internet bound traffic, routing will be done this way via physical interface. For remote site, via tunnel interface, right? So we have created route here via tunnel interface. Okay, and last configuration, security policy. Why policy is required? To bring up like phase 1 and phase 2 tunnel? No, not exactly. Even in case if we do not create security policy, if we do not create security rule, no problem, tunnel will come up, both phase 1 and phase 2. Problem will be with the data plane traffic, user traffic, and I hope you understand what is data plane traffic. User traffic, traffic that passes through the appliance, through the device. If there is no security rule, there is no security policy. So even if tunnel is up, there is proper tunnel, IPsec tunnel, still traffic will not be put inside the tunnel if security policy doesn't permit that, right? And that is why two security rules are required, one for outbound and one for inbound, both, right? So let me create two security rule in Palo Alto Firewall. So I'm back to Palo Alto Firewall. Security policy, create. First one is I will name it VPN out. VPN out means source zone, my internal network, inside source address, my internal network address, LAN network, destination is outside. No, VPN zone, not outside, right? And what about the destination address? Create a network object for remote network, network 10.2.2.0, and here again 10.2.2.0/24. All anything application default action is allowed. Another security rule, and this time VPN inbound traffic. Source zone will be VPN zone. Source address remote network. Destination zone inside. Destination address LAN network. Application any, service any, action allow and commit the changes. Done. So we have finished Palo Alto firewall site configuration. What next now? FortiGate firewall configuration, right? So I'm back to FortiGate firewall and go to VPN section, IPSec tunnel or maybe IPSec wizard, and on this page you can see there is one tab here, custom. So we want to use custom configuration, and in case if you want to set up IPSec tunnel between two FortiGate firewall, so there is built-in template here. Just hit down next, done. All the configuration is done automatically. I mean, you don't have to create security rule, you don't have to create address objects, you will not be required to do any routing. Everything is done automatically in automated fashion in FortiGate firewall. And that's why I said in the beginning, configuring FortiGate firewall is very simple, straightforward. So if I compare FortiGate, Palo Alto and Checkpoint, so Checkpoint is complex, FortiGate is very simple, and Palo Alto is in the middle of both, I mean Checkpoint and FortiGate firewall, because I teach all three firewalls, so I understand the difficulty level, which firewall is more difficult. Anyway, so custom, and I will name it IPSec VPN. Okay, next IPSec VPN, remote gateway IP, static IP, remote gateway IP 12.0.0.1, interface WAN port, local gateway, primary IP is 23.0.0.1, NAT traversal by default enable, DPD is enabled, advanced, add route not required. So it's something like we discuss everything in AD VPN section, auto discovery VPN section. Generally we use in Fortinet SD-WAN. Okay, so pre-shared key, yes, IKE version 1, IKE phase 1 proposal, encryption method, and see here. Now you understand why I selected this while at the time of configuring Palo Alto firewall. See here, there is no choice. You don't have choice. And authentication, even if you select here, I can see here SHA-256, but your tunnel will never come up. So just stick to MD5 and SHA-1. Get rid of other proposal messages. DH group 2, 5 and 14. All good. Phase 2. Same with phase 2. Phase 2 encryption method, DES, SHA-1, DES, and maybe here MD5, and get rid of extra fields from here. PFS is enabled, correct? If you want, then you can enable 2 also from here. Okay, so we are good to go now. So IPSec tunnel configuration is done. What about the routing part? Yes, routing required in FortiGate also. Under network tab, static routes, create not default 10.1.1.0/24 and the interface, tunnel interface, right? IPsec VPN tunnel interface, exactly the same way as we configured FortiGate firewall. Then policy, where is policy? Firewall policy. 2, one inbound, another outbound. I'm going to create first VPN out, incoming interface LAN, outgoing IPsec VPN, source my network address LAN 2, and destination is let me create address object and 10.1.1.0/24, 10.1.1.0/24. okay, so destination service all. NAT is required, no. Make sure that you turn off this NAT. NAT is not required because original packet is encapsulated, encrypted, additional or extra headers are added, wherein like firewall external interface IPs are used, right? So NAT should be turned off, disabled. All session. Okay. So one security rule or policy is created. Blinking means like configuration is getting applied now, stopped, stable, and just right click and create clone reverse. So clone reverse means what? Source would become destination, destination would become source, right? All like fields will be interchange source and destination, but by default cloned policy is disabled. So we will enable that, no problem. So it's VPN in. So I'll have to only enable this policy. Simple, just name and enable the policy. Easy, right? Very simple. Okay, now it's time to do verification. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to initiate traffic either from 10.1.1.101 or from 10.2.2.101, right? Simple ping, in fact, because we have allowed all services, all protocols, so we can do verification with the ping only, right? So let me minimize this, open command prompt and machine IP, host device IP config is Windows, not Linux, ping 10.2.2.101 -t. What we are expecting here after 1 or 2 RTO, success, and see here, after 1 RTO there is proper success. What is other way to do verification? So we can go to network section, IPsec tunnels, refresh and see here is working, all green, right? And if you double click, then you will see counters increasing. Counters means encapsulated and de-encapsulated packet bytes. So just keep on refreshing. Where is refresh? And see here 36, 37, 38, 40. Good so far. What about FortiGate firewall side? Refresh the page. Just click here, anywhere, and then go back to firewall policy. So exclamation gone from here, tunnel is up, and see here like security policy matched, and the verification we can go to dashboard, network section, and under IPsec see here green, and incoming and outgoing data is increasing, right? What if we initiate traffic from here also? Okay, 10.1.1.101. Okay, -t, refresh, and counters increasing. See here 11.31, 6.06. Keep on refreshing. Also, if again we go to IPsec tunnels, So status is green now, up, right? And also you can check the log from the log section. So it's not very difficult, like it's not very difficult, but if you follow steps properly, if you go step by step, your concept is clear, right? That not necessarily you'll have to do configuration in sequential order. If you remember, then even I forget to create tunnel interface, right? Static route, even straight away I started from here only, created crypto profile and all that, but no problem. If your concept is clear, you understand what all configuration is required, then you can do sooner or later, not necessarily sequential manner, sequential order, right? Also from CLI you can do verification. If where I am, okay, so if you look at this Palo Alto firewall, there are multiple ways to do the verification. So you can run the command. Let me come out of this exit mode. So what command you can run? So show command, right? Show VPN IPSec phase 1, then show VPN IPSec will show you security parameter index, SPI incoming, SPI out, right? SPI in, SPI out, because a pair of like phase 2 tunnels are created, because one is for inbound traffic, another one for outbound traffic. Phase 2 tunnels, phase 1 tunnel would remains only one, no matter like even in policy based VPN also, irrespective of number of subnets or networks that need to be encrypted, that need to be protected, phase 1 tunnel always remains only one. But in case of policy based VPN configuration, number of phase 2 tunnels would get increased with number of subnets and number of networks, phase 2 tunnels. And phase 2 tunnel is for the data plane traffic, not for the phase 1 tunnel is not for the data plane traffic. So from here also, if even you want to clear this tunnel, then you can run the command clear VPN IC or IPSec. So clear VPN IPSec, right? So you can run the command test. So if you don't have end host device for the testing purpose, and even if you have, then still this command is really very important, test command, just to confirm like whether your configuration is okay or not, right? Test command means what? Just checking like reachability between both the firewalls only, right? So if there is any issue here, there is any issue here, so yes, like still this test command would be successful. But this is the best way in doing debug and troubleshooting, because if you hit down the test command, or maybe FortiGate firewall side, we have the option to bring up or bring down the tunnel interface, and if your tunnel interface is up, in fact, right, not down, but whenever you initiate traffic from here and then traffic is not passing through, so now you at least understand that as far VPN configuration is concerned, there is no problem. Where is the problem? Then maybe routing, maybe some LAN site configuration, right? So that's the best way even doing a verification debug. So I hope you understand like how to configure Palo Alto, how to configure FortiGate, how to configure IPSec side to side VPN tunnel between these two firewalls. So that's all for today.